All right. Happy Tuesday. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another groundbreaking episode of the Know Your Pharmacist Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Joaquin Acosta, CEO of Pharmtrue, and tonight we've got an absolutely captivating lineup that you won't want to miss. First off, let's connect and give a big shout out to our incredible community. Your engagement fuels this show, and we're thrilled to collaborate with you on this journey towards elevated wellness. Now, let's brainstorm what's on the agenda. We're diving deep into the ethical complexities of the pharmacy workers' strike, exploring the celestial wonders of the solar eclipses here in New Mexico coming up on October 14th, and unpacking the often overlooked concept of mental load. But that's not all. We're also breaking taboos in our Herbal Wellness Corner, discussing the transformative power in cannabis in GI disorders. Trust me, this is expert science you'll love to hear. And for our community spotlight, we've got something both interesting and heartwarming, an upcoming fundraiser that promises to be as delicious as it is impactful, guys. And men, listen up. Our Men's Health Minute is all about you. We're going to get productive and discuss effective health promotion strategies tailored just for you. Guys, we have a huge thank you to our sponsors, Pharmtrue, High Horse, the Tricom Alliance, and Vado Speedway Park. Your support makes this excellent content possible, so grab your favorite beverage, settle in. Let's get this show on the road. Engage with us, ask questions. Let's make this a collaborative, happy space where science meets soul. So jumping in first and foremost, guys, all this CVS walkout had caused so much attention that I didn't pay attention that Kaiser Permanente pharmacy itself is having a strike. So they were having, as a healthcare organization, a strike, and now the pharmacy is going for it. So very interesting, guys. We are in a time of revolution for the world of pharmacy. Granted, to some may say it's a little late for this kind of revolution, right? It may have gotten too regulated down the way, right? Pizza is not enough, so on and so forth. However, it's good to see the work being put in. Anyways, want to show you guys about the Kaiser Permanente 21-day labor strike that's beginning, independent from the 75,000 healthcare workers across from the 6 states for October 4th through 6th. So this is a different one. Let's go ahead and check this thing out.
Union power! Union power!
For the past few years, Kaiser Permanente employees say working conditions have slid.
People are just really, really tired.
Overworked, without enough staff.
We're working full time, and then we're working overtime, and then we're working double time.
They say many are working 70 to 80-hour weeks. Now, 4,000 nursing assistants, technicians, and other healthcare workers plan to strike Wednesday through Friday. Part of 75,000 Kaiser workers who could strike nationally. And there's a few things they want, like better pay and job protections. But the biggest, more staffing.
Patients cannot get in to see their primary care doctors. They're waiting weeks and weeks just for an appointment. They're waiting months and months for surgeries.
Where's the partnership? Not here!
They're not the only Kaiser employees striking. Pharmacy workers began a 3-week strike Sunday. They say Kaiser isn't bargaining in good faith.
Workers just want what's theirs. They want to be treated fairly. They want to get good pay, quality benefits.
Workers say the healthcare giant has tried to dictate who the union representative would be. Though in a statement, Kaiser says the union hasn't been willing to bargain. Kaiser also says every healthcare provider is facing staffing shortages, though they're doing better than most. They've hired 50,000 frontline workers in the past 2 years and plan to add 10,000 more union jobs by the end of October, and proposed wage hikes of 10 to 14% over a 4-year contract, though employees say there's still a staffing crisis and not much trust between the two sides.
I would love for Kaiser executives to just listen to frontline healthcare workers and start bargaining in good faith.
And a deal could still happen before Wednesday, though workers are pessimistic. They say they don't want to strike, but they're serious about demands, and Kaiser's preparing for the worst as well, making preparations to keep hospitals running. Tim?
Yeah, we've been watching.
So basically, guys, what we're getting at is this strike is definitely just escalated from Kansas City, CVS, Kansas City, Missouri, right? It has now escalated now to Walgreens, Kaiser Permanente, pharmacy workers in Oregon, Southwest Washington begin 21-day unfair labor practices strike. So very, very interesting. Power in the numbers there to everybody trying to take action all at once, because again, these things are things that are kind of ridiculously wrong in this industry right now as it is. And even between company to employee, part of that part is, yes, that responsibility of having to take care of them. But companies that have to take care of employees fighting in an industry where vertical and horizontal integration is tooth and nail is insane. But then it's even that much more insane where the companies that are, that have found the way to sink their teeth into every single bit of it, are the ones that have skimped it all the way down to this. So, there's only so much you can do besides this, because they need bodies to be able to keep business going, and people need their meds. It's unfortunate to even sit there and say and feel like I'm saying I'm advocating, right, for someone not to be giving healthcare services. That's not what it's about, guys, at all. Really, it's I think everybody understands the quality of life for most of our retail pharmacy industry right now. And granted, nurses and everybody else are just as frustrated. So, advocating for pharmacy right now, that's of course what we're doing. Our Pharmacist Frontline, brought to you by Pharmtrue. American Pharmacist Month. So guys, got plenty of stuff to highlight there. Moving on to the next thing here, talking about solar eclipses in our Tech Talk. Want to share this with you. Did you guys know that we are having a solar eclipse here in New Mexico on October 14th? Ring of Fire solar eclipse visible in New Mexico. Sharing with you guys here from KRQE out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. But it's cool because they show right here, again, a little bit about the steps that you need to be able to take to see the eclipse and how and when that would happen. Again, guys, even regular welding glasses aren't that safe. Your own eclipse viewers, you can make it. They've got, NASA has its own tutorial on how to make your own eclipse viewer with a cereal box, showing you guys right here. So sounds pretty fun, right? I mean, October 14th gives you time to order eclipse glasses if that's something that you're going to get off of like Amazon, or you could grab your fancy old cereal box, guys, and make one yourself. At least, interesting to encourage, want people to take that time to, appreciate some of that cool stuff that you can view here in New Mexico. Again, I posted in the chat there the link to how to make that cereal box eclipse viewer. Hope everybody thought that's fun. Cool. So moving on, guys. Enlightenment Hour. Plugging and chugging through this one today, talking about the mental load. Everybody think and know about what the mental load might be, not only to them, right, but to other people as well. Interesting. So, again, Science of People. So everybody with their big 5 personality traits and how they rank on them, it's going to manage their mental load differently. I'm sharing this one with you guys from the scienceofpeople.com. How to manage mental load, 10 strategies to achieving balance. Very, very interesting because, again, many people can feel boxed in by being burnt out or whatever that might be. But again, what is your threshold and capacity to, run whatever it is that you may need to run in your mind? interesting to consider the tank there, right? So are you feeling mentally depleted and looking, practical strategies to alleviate stress, regain control, and create a more harmonious and fulfilling lifestyle? So looking at these guys, mental load definition: burdened by the invisible yet pervasive weight known as mental load, cognitive and emotional burden often paired with managing multiple responsibilities and expectations at home and the workplace. Sound familiar, right? And it's totally cool. Everybody experiences it. Everybody's, got going on what's going on. Some say your ability to manage stressors depends to a lot of degrees, like how, right, different outcomes in your life, because, if this mental load can be too much, you can be debilitated in other parts of your life. So again, for those of you looking to regain control, alleviate stress, and create a more harmonious and fulfilling lifestyle, being aware of that mental load existing, right? Forgiving yourself for letting, just letting yourself be. And that's totally okay, right? Doable. Referring to the cognitive effort required to complete a mental task or manage a situation, including the actual work that needs to be done and all the mental preparation and organization that goes into completing the task. Some call maybe things as like brain fog or procrastination, right? Some of those different things. But have you ever thought maybe what the source of that procrastination or that inability to, execute things, why are you having to climb such a mountain each and every time? Maybe, right? Have you ever got caught in a rut? So looking at things like cognitive labor, right? Planning a dinner party here, as they're showing here, right? You have to make decisions, monitor progress, anticipate needs, identify options. Systems, routines, and support. A mental load can cause, without efficient systems, needs, and support, a mental load can cause increased stress, fatigue, burnout, reduced performance, and health-related issues. Unfortunately, most of those who struggle with mental load are women and mothers, partly due to societal pressures and expectations that are put on women to be primary caregivers. So, do you struggle with mental load? Your mental load checklist. If you're experiencing any of the symptoms above, it's likely you struggle with the mental load. If you're still unsure, here's a checklist to help determine if it's time to seek support. Do you feel like you're constantly thinking about everything that needs to be done? Does your to-do list feel like never ending? Do you feel like you're the only one who knows what needs to be done? Do you feel resentful towards your partner or team for not being more supportive? Do you have trouble relaxing or taking time for yourself? Do you feel like frequently forgetting something you might have missed? Do you feel irritable or stressed? Do you have trouble sleeping? If you answer to yes to two or more of these questions, you are likely someone who struggles with a mental load. And again, some people put the weight of their world on their shoulders, and that's, I'm the kind of guy that'll do that, right? And have to sit there and get better about, that management of that. However, it's totally okay to just exist however you exist and, learn, right? You have to be willing to learn to jump into, again, unpack that mental load and examining what things, increase the weight of that load, and perhaps prioritizing, the things that increase that weight of that load and removing them or addressing them in whatever way that may need to be, right? Some people could be a relationship, right? It could be a partner. It could be a manager or something like that in your job or other place where demands, right, are going out on you. It could be completely yourself, right? And that's totally okay to acknowledge, right, that those things exist. But, things when you have your mental load is completely full, when you're running that on overdrive over time, you're going to make worse decisions. You're not going to be able to, again, have that ability to get out of a fight or flight situation. And that's like what it comes down to, right? In the physiological response there that's happening during all of this. As you're seeing on the screen, project management, decision making, team coordination, problem solving, client or customer management, multitasking, all of that plus home stuff, increases mental load on individuals in both professional and personal settings, highlighting the need for effective strategies to manage and distribute the mental load so it doesn't negatively impact well-being. So going through this, right? Mental load can significantly impact people's health and well-being. It can lead to, again, stress, anxiety, burnout, sleep deprivation, even physical health problems. It can lead to strain in relationships, as the person carrying most of the mental load in a relationship may feel resentful or unsupported. That goes to all of that. As somebody who's been on both sides of the equation there, you just have to, one, identify who your people are, right? Like there's a difference between those in your life who are worth your mental load and those who are not, right? And so you can, have your different ways of determining that, and it's pretty easy once you really start thinking about that. But again, how can you address it? What are specific impacts of mental load, stress, burnout, sleep deprivation, health problems, blood pressure going up, fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating. Burnout can make, functioning at work, home, or in relationships difficult. Relationship strain, mental load can strain relationships as the person carrying it may feel resentful and unsupported. So again, right, how do you, change the person, or you change the person? I heard that old management saying at Walmart, and I liked it, because you don't have to, you can only be yourself, and you may have to change those around you in your environment. You don't have to be loyal to any particular thing that doesn't resonate with you as a person, and that's totally okay, right? But how do you, number one priority, get in sync with your team or your partner? Who is your team or your partner? Have you defined that, right? Those taking on the mental load of caring for a team or household may often resent their partner or colleagues for not sharing the load. So it's important to communicate regularly, seek support. It's possible that your partner or team may not realize the weight that's on your shoulders. To reduce the weight on your shoulders, build communication into your routine. Check on what you need to do, where you're at. Go through support checklists with your partner or your team each week, or regular routine that works for everybody. Checklists including, right, how are you feeling? What are challenges? How can I support you? What is essential? What can be taken off your plate or delegated? What concerns, ideas, or dilemmas on your mind? How can we improve communication and support each other, right? Looking at those things, fostering open communication, empathy, and collaboration, you can really help change that around by turning the word I to you. Right here, you could say, I feel overwhelmed preparing presentations on my own, and I could use some support. Can you be in charge of the research portion? So again, delegation nation, it's not easy. Not easy for a lot of people, but can you get to a place where you can do something like that, or, right, spread those tasks around? And maybe some people cannot, right? Then, so if you cannot, what can you do? Can you evaluate in your life, get in sync with yourself? What may need to go on the chopping block? What can you actually do, right? What is your capacity? Right here, letting go of perfection, focusing on your strengths, working towards the things that you can do. Anything that is not perfect, that's just freaking anybody out, doesn't help you, because you're freaking out about not being perfect. So again, exercising here, reflect on activities that make you, and tasks where you feel fully engaged and most energized. What is it about it that you like the most? Make a list of those tasks or activities and pay attention to common themes. Then reflect on what activities drain you the most. What is it about those activities that drain you? And totally makes sense. Has anybody done that sort of, self-evaluation in a while? Sometimes you need to go in there and give yourself your own, evaluation there. Letting go, delegating, and trusting there. By doing that in there, create a mistake bucket, let people surprise you, clearly define the problem, like it. Seems like that one does make sense. And I like the mistake bucket, learning them as growth opportunities. Some people look at mistakes and never want to do anything again, or some people look at mistakes and, think about the big pessimistic mountain they have to climb, right? But each time you make a mistake, you learn from it. It's the true way to really, really learn something. You can read something in a book all day long. Once you actually break something and have to fix it, and no one's there to help you, then you're really going to learn. Try doing that over and over and over again, right? That's called life, again. But so some people are so, codependent, or whatever that may be, that they may not ever be able to get to that situation. So interesting, right? Now, create a routine, time blocking. What are your priorities, goals, tasks? How do you rank that? Again, always knowing, personally or whatever that may be, what's going to drive it. How do you make that a fulfilling, enriched, list for yourself? It's a personal thing. And again, some people that feel that anxiety, feel that mental block, you look at big, enormous tasks, big, enormous goals. Can you break it down into winning the game? Can you see the end goal? Can you, be proactive about that? Fair. All good things to talk about. Breaking it down, chunking it out. Totally cool. So right here, self-compassion. So just be nice to yourself, whatever that may be for you. If it's an activity that promotes relaxation, exercise, meditation, just spending time with those you love, do it, because it's good. Take care of you, you can take care of everybody else, right? Everybody has a little bit of a different view on that situation, but again, you don't want to leave it all out there with nothing left to even be able to, right? Can't leave it all out there and not be able to walk home. At the end of the day, life still goes on. You got to just find that way to balance that. Automating and streamlining tasks with technology, guys. Most people these days are probably pretty aware with the different kinds of apps and the things that are available nowadays, but have you thought about chunking time with things? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you use a desk planner, and that's totally cool, and that all works. But again, by making things a little easier for getting off of the paper, you may actually save some decent amount of time there in life. Learning to say no, prioritizing your limits, setting your boundaries, self-awareness, mindfulness. And we understand that to our degrees. It's all good to talk about, all good to share, for sure. And so here, guys, want to look at a little bit of cannabis in GI, everybody. I hope everybody's excited to see some of this. Cool. So this was a presentation from actually Pharmacist in the 2020 Clinical Cannabinoid Pharmacy Conference, International Society of Cannabis Pharmacists, cannabis use in GI disorders. So this guy, Walgreens pharmacist for 16 years, owner of Consult, and a dispensary manager here. Very cool. Summarized, and this is 3 years ago, but interesting enough, right? The different literature evaluating medical cannabis and Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, IBS, liver disease, right? So going to go over some of these guys with y'all just so, we can see it, right? So Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, IBS, symptoms. If anybody has any GI disease or lives with anybody with this, you guys are already completely, aware, right? Pain and inflammation in that gut leading to, cramps, diarrhea, of course, fatigue, weight loss, decreased appetite changes, all kinds in the bodies, plentiful in the GI system. That's your CB1 and CB2 receptors. So looking at this, multiple studies conducted have indicated that cannabis has not impacted objective disease markers in disease remission. Studies have shown patients have had an improvement in quality of life scores, pain scores, ability to work, and appetite. CBD has been also individually studied as well as and shown to be minimally effective, reinforces the entourage effect. CBD and THC are better together. Negative outcomes reported from cannabis groups from studies were memory loss, dizziness, cannabis use in liver disease. Cannabis use is associated with reduced incidence of liver disease in alcoholics. Interesting. Studies have shown that cannabis has minimal, if any, effect on AST and ALT levels. Few studies have investigated the effect of both CBD and THC on the liver. Results have been contraindicated. But guys, keep in mind, cannabis, yes, does interact with medications that are processed by the liver. So, if the cannabis is working the liver as well as another medication, your liver is working harder. So that can be a thing. Cannabis use in patients with G-tube, best practices, oral solutions, oils, distillate tablet powders should be diluted in water. Again, no alcohol-based tinctures. And takeaways, cannabis has been used successfully to relieve symptoms of Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and IBS. However, more research is needed regarding cannabis use in the diseases. However, diseases themselves have little known about them as they are autoimmune disorders, right? You look at your regenerative medicine there and the things that are trying to tap at all of that, but those autoimmune disorders are a big, just hairy mess, right? And they're frustrating and become very individualized. Patients turn to medical cannabis for relief of the symptoms and quality of life improvement. Majority of the medications available have severe side effects, not to mention can be very costly. Cannabis has been shown to slow the progressive of liver disease in alcoholics. More research is needed. And again, patients with your GI tube should be using oral solutions. Otherwise, recommended to dilute medication to 10 to 60 mLs of water. No alcohol tinctures there. So, those who do suffer Crohn's or IBS or anything like that, guys, you know how much that sucks. And I feel for you. I completely get it. I think there is promise there. I like the full spectrum oil. I like the one-to-ones. THC by itself, CBD by itself, not as much. But again, when you're looking at that severe pain and those things that some people don't even want to stand and feel so debilitated by that stomach pain and inflammation, and all you're throwing is proton pump inhibitors, so on and so forth in there, cannabis should be a good substitute. Cool. Talking guys here. Fundraiser for our community spotlight. For my buddy Dude. He's got a Sierra Middle School magnet, butter braid fundraiser here. All this delicious stuff. Oh my gosh. So, again, if you want to support young Saul or Dude, buy butter bread. Putting that in the chat. Should go through. Awesome. Love that for our community spotlight to be able to help out people when we can and share, fundraisers locally, try to get to everybody when we can. Hope everybody, tunes me in, and we will get as much of you out there as possible. And I hope that people do contribute and help. So anyways, last thing here for our Men's Health Minute, everybody. Sponsored by Vado Speedway Park, which I will be going to another podcast on that next here at 6:30. Excited for that. Final week of weekly racing of the year here at Vado Speedway Park. It's going to be a fun time. Anyways, this is an interesting article that I read about the pharmacist role in men's health and community pharmacy. And I thought this was cool because a couple takeaways. I know we don't have a lot of gender-specific health marketing or anything like that necessarily too much right now, especially in the pharmacy, right? But, looking at how to, create a male-friendly pharmacy practice culture, that's an interesting situation because this isn't anything I don't think, pharmacies are doing anywhere. Looking at trying to create an inclusive environment, that includes like men, right? I think to some degree, the bona fide, version of a man has been, obviously, the American man has been diluted and maybe changed lately, right? And so where somewhere in healthcare even identifies to, try to tailor that towards a man, it's like, well, okay, well, what is the definition of man? Because that's fair. That's a fair question to ask. Either way, for those of us, who are looking at that biological definition there, guys, I mean, talking about that inclusive environment and really thinking about, what, improving signage, right, from an audit included, for male patients to talk to either, to just tell patients you can talk to either a male or a female team member, right? We don't even have that right now in pretty much any pharmacy, like, female pharmacist available or male pharmacist available. Like, think about that. Like, a lot of the times you'll see it for maybe women, which is totally fair, and I understand that they just do deserve that. But men should also have that considered too, because even when you think about that, if you're a guy, maybe you're sitting there with your wife and you're like, oh yeah, I love my wife, I love my family, I hope that she can answer all the questions about her health. I want her to be perfect, So you have her ask the question, right? But you don't see on the wall, hey, male pharmacist available, and wife can prompt that simple question of, hey, honey, right? Have you, been checked? Have you asked? Do you have any questions to ask? And granted, here in New Mexico and Las Cruces, my time in the pharmacy, guys, I have personally, I think over my time at Mesilla Valley Pharmacy, I prescribed and gave over 5,000 shots there downtown, guys, and telling you, men do not come in as often to go get a vaccine by themselves. Oftentimes, women do come in with them. Women answer all the questions for their guys. Men that do take it upon themselves to go get vaccinated, that's great. But I think, it's important to consider the fact that, yes, men should be encouraged to ask more questions when they go to the pharmacy or the doctor, right? There's not signage that's in those sorts of facilities that do necessarily tailor towards that, Other sign postings of availability of a private consultation for conversations or queries. And this was at a UK study, Bedminster Pharmacy or whatever, 2 consultation rooms. However, only 2 of the 6 male patient auditors could ever recall noticing a sign on the door. Improving, this simple improvement led to a significant increase in requests by men to use consultation rooms. On reflection, it makes logical sense if you are entering an unfamiliar space and less control. For some, discussing your health within earshot of other patients can be terrifying. While many patients feel comfortable sharing details at the counter, privacy and dignity are yardsticks of excellent clinical pharmacy practice. So, interesting, right? Other things about, men's health messaging within the pharmacy, right? Again, Movember is going to be a lot of Men's Health Month here next month for those that are going to be planning for things like that. Highly encouraged from my side. But coinciding with that, there's also Men's Health Week, looking at other things for men about health assessments, cardiovascular, weight, height, blood pressure, waist measurements, promoting messages for trying to get people to complete challenges, so on and so forth. But again, how can a pharmacy help to promote lifestyle modifications such as reducing alcohol intake, smoking reduction, increasing physical activity, weight loss, diet change, signposting when appropriate to a medical practitioner? Very interesting. This is signs for men, right? Men's health promotion information in a pharmacy, very interesting. Are you man enough to take on the challenge? The Monkey Man workout. Are you man enough to take on the Bemi challenge? Thank you for doing the Bemi challenge. So all very cool. Example, outreach and working within the community. Another way of targeting men's health promotions, interventions is to work beyond the pharmacy. Talking here, blood clinic, pulse in the pub. Interesting, right? Who's going to go out, do a blood pressure clinic out in the bar? At least interesting enough to get questions answered there. And this one, which is interesting because this is a British, take here, UK, another critical action, understanding the demographic makeup of your male population, including age, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, educational attainment level, and languages most commonly spoken. Campaigns or information sharing must consider the context and usually requires a concerted effort to help create appropriate tools that can engage local communities creatively. Important to not underestimate the benefits in drawing on the local character of your area, including sport club allegiances, for example, right? Whatever it may be for the pharmacy to do, all good stuff. So community pharmacies should be advocates for men's health. There is ways to invest time and research to understand local male populations and their profiles and to, find a way to increase that men's health equity throughout, even New Mexico healthcare access, quality and equity, healthier men, stronger fathers, better communities. There's no reason that we cannot be a little bit better there. So that's the end for my Men's Health Minute, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, tune into Vado Speedway Park's Facebook page in about 45 minutes or so, and we'll be popping on there with the tortilla.